Welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay. Lots going on out in the shop this week and last few weeks. Making good progress on lots of things. The interesting thing about this space is we've got all kinds of different projects that we work on, and my attention span is short. So today I wanted to jump on to a little item on the 64 F100 that I never got fixed, and so I thought I would dive into it today. I did a little pre-work on it, I don't know, earlier in the week, and basically what it is it's a factory AM radio. And I'm while AM radios, you know, there's probably one channel that, at least in Arizona, that plays any music, and lots of Hispanic channels, lots of like news channels, so it doesn't have a broad range of things to get you excited about tuning in. I don't like having the radio in it and having it not work, so I might not turn it on, but if I do decide to turn it on, I'd like it to at least have something happen. So it's an odd little radio in that the head sits behind the dash, and then the tuner knobs, the tuner mechanism sits in front of the dash. So it's not a fantastic, in my estimation, it's not a fantastic design, because what happens is eventually the tuner needle stops following what radio station it's on. So I'm going to take a look at it and kind of show you what I'm checking out on it and see if the radio even works. So when I got this truck, it was just lots of boxes of parts. The radio was just in a box. All the parts were kind of sort of there. I hunted up some of the missing pieces. I don't know, I don't have everything, so there's a few little bitty intricate pieces that are missing out of the puzzle, and I'm gonna figure out how to work around them, and I'll show you what that looks like. But I'm just gonna set you up while I'm tinkering on this thing. It's gonna be a short video, and we'll see if this radio is even worth saving, because finding one is getting a little more difficult. They're available, but none of them they're all untested, which mean they don't work. So I don't really want to buy another radio that doesn't work just to have it on the shelf. So let me set you up and see if this one will work. Okay, so we're looking inside. I'm showing you the dash. It is pretty hard to get everybody in the picture and have a little detail on the radio, but this is the animal. It uses this piece that goes on the outside that selects the channel. What I have done is the speaker's been removed, so I have the old junk speaker, so I can get a replacement that fits. I put in another large speaker just so I can test it, which is down here, and I wired it into the bottom of the radio. The radio has power, and there's an antenna on it. So in theory, we should be able to turn it on and see if it makes any crackling noises, and kind of decide go no go on, do I proceed with making something happen here. So flip it to accessory. Let's just see if we can kind of turn it on and up, and so the needle's not moving, but the shaft is actual, so it's making some gravelly sound. Well, that's a good sign. There's something. So as you wind this,
Monday, first place. So the fact that Baylor beat them, it was the perfect spot for them to do so. That's why I like Kansas in. Just look at Baylor real quick. They're 10-1 their last 11
Oh,
games.
that sounds horrible.
Stuff when we're talking everybody being broke, Social Security, FDIC, those things. I mean, we have their documents to prove all of the stuff that we talk about.
When we started talking about the banks, I started talking about bailing 2014. I started talking about
So it's picking up some channels, and there's some sound coming out. It's not super loud,
it's funny because everybody thought that's too much. I'm always worried. A little bit crazy.
but it is functioning. It is functioning at some level. So what I think I'm going to do is proceed as if it's a working radio. So what that means is I'm going to pull the speaker out of the way, because that's not the speaker. There's no way that speaker is going to fit in this application. It uses a much smaller speaker, and I can show you what that looks like. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to address seeing if I can make the knob force the actual needle back and forth. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to take this speaker out so nothing falls on it and I don't ruin a brand new speaker. Okay, so now what I will do is I'm going to pull this head back off. This tuner head. And I will show you where the problem lies. So this tuner head is held onto the front of the front of the dash. And it's got two little screws and nuts that hold it in there. And I'm assuming that's how it came originally. But it's kind of an odd setup. And I don't have any of the original stuff, so I'm not sure that that's necessarily the case. But this is the face. It's in decent shape. It uses, it's got a little crack in it, but that's fine for, I'm not going to buy another one for this. It uses a little gear back here that rotates, that adjusts. You go back and forth. I'm going to actually make sure you can see that. So it's got a little gear right here that you click that rotates, and that gear is on the shaft, the tuner shaft. And what it does is as you turn that gear, it moves the needle. And I have gone in previously and lubed that mechanism up so that it works as smoothly as possible to go back and forth. And what you do is you set the gear all the way to one extreme on this tuner face, like that, all the way at 16, and you tune the radio all the way till it stops far right, and then that indexes this onto the radio. So the problem is there's a small gear. Let's see if I can get a little closer here. So the drag is that there's a small gear right here on this tuner knob that turns with this, but it isn't splined, and my guess is it's like that. There is some kind of friction mechanism that in a perfect world, if something happened in the tuner mechanism, you wouldn't break the internals of the radio forcing it. or something of that nature. I don't know. It's all speculation. And so in this situation, as I turn this tuner knob right here and go back and forth, there's too much resistance on that little gear right here, and the gear doesn't move. So my project right now, what I've decided to do is I'm going to make this have a little more resistance and see if I can get this to make that radio indicator follow along as we would expect. So let me see if I can do something there. Okay, so I took that little gear that's on the tuner and I shimmed it with some really thin shim stock onto the tuner shaft. And I made sure that that gear was not slipping on the tuner shaft. Probably wasn't. Just as I continue to look and see where the weak spot is, the weak spot is the plastic gear that's in this head and how it engages with that brass gear. So I checked the depth of where that gear fell on the shaft to make sure that it aligned perfectly with this head, and took all the slack out of the head that I could. And now as I tune it, it goes just like it's supposed to. So we've made progress on the tuning capabilities. Now the radio is still going to play is at whatever level the radio played before, but at least now this part functions and it will perform at some level. So what I'll do next is I'll put all the pieces back together and just so it's all functional and so I can drive it, and I'll order the speaker, a replacement. I'll find a replacement speaker for it, put that in, and this project will be done. So the tricky part about this radio is this little tuner head. The lucky part for me is that that old radio worked. More than likely, you know, it didn't get a ton of use for the last 30 years, and it wasn't out in the weather. So we got really fortunate about that. And just to sum it up, a quick peek of what it looks like all finished and back together. Looks so nice. Little pieces are off the floor, radio's in it. Has a nice simple feel to it. Dial turns just like I like it. Everything looks good. This is such a it's nice to have a project that's at this point where it's finished and there's not a lot of details that are yet to be done on it. There's always more to do, and there's stuff that could always be done better, but just kind of sharing a quick peek at just how cool this old Ford is. All right. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.